Now, many of you already know that this year the Nio brand does not plan to, of course, deliver or launch any models this year, meaning that, ladies and gents, we are not expected to see any new models from Nio coming this year. But one of the things that we read from the letter which was published yesterday, which came from the CEO of Nio, Mr. William Lee, he highlighted some of the things which they need to do as a company to enhance their capabilities, which one of the most important things which he highlighted was to, of course, production of 9 new models or 9 new products under the 3 brands which they currently have, that is Neo brand, Alps and Firefly, which of course we know that with the sub brands, Nio CEO, what he had said or they said last year is that they don't intend to launch so many models under these sub brands, but rather they are willing, or they are going to launch few competitive models that of course will be able to sell good, meaning that the many models we are going to continue seeing under the Neo umbrella, which to get to see or to get to know that they intend to start with the production of the 9, of course, models or products under the 3 brands. It makes me just to assume, or we can safely assume that majority of those models or products will be under the Neo umbrella. And since we know that, well, Neo is not going to launch any products, we know that many of those products will be launched during the year or by the year 2025, or will start sale probably around 2025, which is something that then means that the other, of course, products or models will be for their sub brand. With Alps, you'll know that Neo intends to officially launch their first or their Alps model now in Q1 of 2024, which will get to see the deliveries of the models or model starting in the second half of 2024, which is something that is pretty amazing, because you know that that model, it is of course for the mass market. So I'm very excited about the letter that the Nio CEO wrote and indicated these 9 products, because then we know that we are going to see more cars coming, or more new cars coming, though this year they might not be that much, but rather next year we're going to see a good fleet of cars or new cars being, of course, officially unveiled by Neo and start with the deliveries, which is something that is always good to see Neo continuing to launch and start with the deliveries with new models. Now, another thing that he mentioned on that letter is that the sales and services which they offer must, of course, cope under this fierce competition cycle, because he said that competition is still going to be very fierce in the next 2 years, which therefore Neo must be able to continue growing under those circumstances, which is something that is of course pretty good. He also acknowledged that last year, of course, they did not deliver as they projected or expected, because you will know that the beginning of or early last year, Neo's plans was to deliver 250,000 vehicles, which they ended up delivering 160,000 vehicles. And of course, the Nio CEO said that there are a lot of improvements that needs to be done to be able to deliver good deliveries. You'll know that this year's the Nio plans to deliver up to 230 vehicles, which of course, if they can pull over 200,000 from the Neo brand, I think it will be pretty good looking at the target which they place for themselves. And with the sub brand that Neo intends to start with the deliveries in the second half of this year, I think deliveries will be boosted, so seriously boosted, as that brand is targeted to the mass market. Now the third thing, or the third major thing he what he highlighted, now the third thing that he highlighted in the letter was of course the emphasis more on technology. As Neo, you will know that when it comes to technology, they are the leader in this fast growing EV industry, so he emphasized that they will need to continue, of course, growing in terms of technology, which is something that of course we know that Neo, on this one, they are continue proving themselves as the technology, or one of the leaders in technology when it comes to this fast growing EV industry. Now, he indicated and acknowledged that the company resources are limited, and the R&Ds have been, of course, chowing or eating a lot of their resources, which of course they need to strategically, of course, spend their resources for the money that they are getting from investors and shareholders, to use it more efficiently for good use, which is something that I think is very important, because you know that to us as investors, as we put or invest money into Nio, or big investors put money into Nio, they're expecting Nio to turn that money and make more money. Of course, what Nio, this is the very same thing that Nio emphasized, or the CEO emphasized, I think last year around the Q4 of 2024, saying that they need to pause or cut projects that don't make financial sense in the next 3 years and prioritize those, of course, projects that make financial sense in the next 3 years, which this again is just to confirm and reassure that that is their plan, to make sure that the money that they get from investors and shareholders get to be used efficiently. This is one of the most also important things that they issued under the letter, which I hope to see. We hope to see more improvement coming now in 2024. Otherwise, analysts also came yesterday, and Mizuho Securities maintained a buy rating onto Nio with a price target of $15 per stock, which is a pretty good price target, as it indicates some good profits too, looking at when Nio is currently trading at. So Mizuho, one of the things that they noted was, of course, due to the fact that Nio might see their finances improving this year, especially knowing that they will be, or they are in a they should be able to conclude probably the acquisitions of Jack's assets, which will enable them to start producing their cars. They said, or Mizuho said, that this will save them 10% of their production cost, which means that the money that they were spending on production, we are going to see Nio saving 10% of that money because of these acquisitions of Jack's assets, which is something that is pretty good. So they give, or they maintain a buy rating and a price target of $15 per stock. Now, another financial institution that, of course, made the Nio stock to sort of like tumble towards the close of the trading day yesterday was, of course, Bank of America, that came and downgraded Nio from buy to neutral and reduced their price target, which that so many of the investors did not take very well, because the very same, of course, analyst that downgraded Nio is the very same analyst that was giving, or that gave Nio so much high price target the time it was surging, or back in 2020, the time where we saw them clocking an all-time high. So a lot of investors are worried about the downgrade from Bank of America. But one of the things that, of course, I can tell you is that Nio, ladies and gents, in Wall Street still has or maintains a moderate buy with a price target of just over $11, or average price target of over $11 per stock, which is something that, of course, it is still good looking at it, where Nio is currently trading at in terms of the share price right now. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I just thought I'd just give you this quick update. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. And like I said, one of the most important things that to me made, of course, the biggest highlight was to know that Nio intends to start with the production of the 9 products, or 9 probably models, under the 3, of course, Nio, Alps, and Firefly brands, which is something that, of course, it makes me to be really excited, and to know that they are going to make sure that they be cautious on their spending. Also, that makes me to be really excited, because we know the loss that Nio generated last year. There was just so much, but of course, Nio acknowledged that they have been spending more on R&Ds, which, of course, now they will be strategic about it and make sure that they, of course, spend on projects, or spend money on things that makes financial sense in the next 3 years. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.